Turn back here. Yahweh, we thank you today on this Yom Shabbat. We praise you. We thank you for being compassionate. We thank you for your mercy. We thank you, Yahweh, for your thoughtfulness towards our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. We ask today that you would forgive our sin. You forgive our rebellion, our transgression against you. We ask, Yahweh, that you would continue to teach us and lead us along the paths that you have chosen for us. I thank you for every household, Yahweh, that is online right now, that have come to sit and to listen, to be gathered, to be assembled at your feet. I praise you, Yahweh, for your patience. I praise you for your wisdom, your knowledge, and your understanding. Let us humble ourselves before you today. Let us say thank you for all that you have done for us. Hallelujah. 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 Praise the mighty Yah. All right, so thank you all again for coming today. Like I was saying, there's only a few things that the Most High was talking to Moshe about in this in particular Torah portion. The first thing that he was talking about was the census and how they were to bring, a certain amount of silver to him so they can atone for their lives. The second thing that he mentions is this altar, this bronze basin that he talks about how he wanted them to wash their feet and their hands, and it's talking about for Aharon and his sons that they wouldn't die, because he said then they would know that I'm set apart, right? So everything is centered around being around the Most High. You have to atone for your lives. You have to wash your hands and your feet to approach me. The third thing he mentions is the anointing oil. That's the third thing that he talks about, and what the composition was, and it was only for him. And it's holy. It's set apart just for him. The fifth thing that he talks about, is the incense. And he says it's a certain combination, it's a certain compound, it's a mixture, and I need to be made by, professional perfumers, and it's only for me. And because it is set apart and it's holy, it's kadosh, okay? And then that was the fifth thing. And then the sixth thing he mentions to Moshe in this Torah portion is to talk about how he has singled out two individuals to do the work that they needed to do for all the utensils, the equipment, the incense, the oil, all those different things. And so he mentions these two individuals and the people that are going to be working with them. So he gives them the spirit of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding from him. So it's a very powerful. Forgive the alarm. Somebody has their alarm going off on their car. Hopefully it'll go off soon. Then after that, the last thing he mentions to Moshe is about the Shabbat, which happens to be the seventh thing that he begins to talk about, the seventh thing that he talks about. And so it's the observation of the Shabbat. It's a sign between him and the children of Yisrael. Hold on for just one moment, everyone. There you go. It's off. Thank goodness. So it's about the Shabbat. And it's about him saying that if anybody is to ever treat this in a way that's ordinary or common, they are going to be put to death. Why? Because that itself, again, is set apart. So what we see after everything he's talking about, is this Keith Tissa, meaning to lift up or to take up or to carry or to bear. So the things in which they are supposed to bear and the things that they're supposed to hold and lift and to hold on to and carry have the idea around being set apart. Then immediately after that, in chapter number 32, after mentioning those seven things, he then tells him, hey, he introduces us to what the children of Israel began to do. And the children of Israel, they have begun to what we talked about earlier this week about going into what they would say a default mode. Okay. They went back to what they understood and what they know because they were disappointed that Moshe didn't return when they thought he should. So all their hopes, all their aspirations, all their dreams and future was based upon this man, Moshe, whom they thought was the one who brought them out. They thought he was just an inspired leader. And so they didn't even understand it. It was the Most High himself who was leading the children of Israel out from Misraim all the way through the Red Sea and all these things. So we see that they made some celebrations. They sung praises to the Most High. And then he comes and he gives them his instructions, the 10 words, and they hear these things and they agree to what he wanted them to hear, right? They said, we're going to do what he says. They said it 4 times on 4 different occasions. And so today, what we're going to talk about is the conclusion of this, this golden calf, you know, and what it is and what does it mean and how does the Most High, you know, operate, right? We're going to see something very special. So let's get right into it. Go right here. And everybody, I want you to feel free to, you know, join in the conversation because this is what this is about. It's about us coming together. And, you know, if you have any questions, ask your question, raise your hand, feel free to do that. And then too, if you ask a question and you say something that you just thought, well, that's not the right answer or whatever, don't feel, you know, embarrassed about it because through our errors, we can learn. We can learn through our errors and it's okay to make mistakes. I always tell everybody that it's okay to make mistakes because in our mistakes, we can learn from them. The reason why the Torah portions are given to us is so we can find out the errors that our ancestors made and we can make the corrections. It is shameful from, you know, what our ancestors have done. And, you know, one may say, well, I really didn't have anything to do with that. So, you know, it doesn't apply to me. It does apply to us. It does. Okay. So let me get started right quick. Presentation, share my screen completely with you. All right. Wonderful. So as you know, we've been going on this pathway. Last week, we were right here in this. Let me see here. We were in the purple square. But today, we're moving down. We're moving a little further along our journey. Our journey is calling for us to move to right here. We're going right here. And what we're going to be talking about today is our Torah portion. Kitasa. When you lift up or you carry or you take up a census of the people. We also found out that word tissa, the root of it has to do with lifting and carrying, okay? And there's something that you and I are supposed to carry, okay? And what we're supposed to carry is the words of the Most High. That's what we're supposed to carry. And sometimes when we're carrying these words, some may think of it as a burden. Some might think of it as being too heavy. Some might think that, you know, it's unnecessary to carry all of them, but it's not. We have to. This is what we're called to do. Today, we're going to discuss a couple of different things. The first thing that we're going to talk about is the Gadol, okay? And I'm going to explain to you what that means. But what we have to do is understand what the meanings of these words are so we can get a better sense of what the Most High is saying to us. Okay, then we're going to talk about to proclaim. What are we supposed to proclaim? Well, one of the things that you and I know that we're supposed to proclaim is the Most High's name. That's what you and I are supposed to proclaim. We don't supposed to proclaim anybody else's name. We don't supposed to proclaim any religion. We're supposed to proclaim the Most High's words and his Torah and his instructions and his kukim. But that can only be found in this idea of what is great. Okay, what is great. This word here, Gadol, was used in our Torah portion, and it talked about, they use this word, which is called Gadol, which is called great or many. Okay. They transliterated it and translated as terrible. And they were talking about the terrible sin that the children of Israel had committed with the golden calf. Okay. Gadol has the idea of what they would say a rope. Okay. Agriculturally, it has to do with a rope. Okay. Or what they would say a cord. When someone's putting a cord together, they would take the tendons of animals and they would wrap them together, intertwining them to make it very strong. Okay. So when this rope is made or this cord is made, it's made of many pieces of tendon. Okay. The more that you put the cords around it, the stronger it gets and the greater it becomes. Okay. What is a cord used for? What is a rope used for? Is used for binding. Okay. And tying. Okay. It's going to be tying things and binding things together. That's what it's used for. Okay. You can use it to tie and bind, sheaves of grain. You can use it to tie equipment to a cart. You could use it to tie or bind a prisoner. You could do it in any of those types of ways. Okay. So the idea behind this carrying something, and literally you have to bind something to you. You have to hold it, right? And so there's this idea about this greatness that this sin is. And what it did was it used for measuring? Yes, absolutely. It was used for measuring. Great question. It was used for measuring. It's a great point. When you had a cord, just to touch base on what the individuals, I think that was you, Kent, what they would do is they would have this cord and they would tie knots as they go along. Okay. And so what they would do is they would measure from this distance to this distance. And they would say, okay, this is a measurement from here. This is how much this is. This is a foot or whatever. And then they would go by increments. Okay. And it would measure, right? Distance. Okay. Which is interesting. I'm glad you mentioned this, Kent. I think it was you. Was it you, Kent?
Yes.
Okay, praise Yah. So Most High just used you. So the measurement or these knots right here on this cord or this rope were to tell you how far something was from something else. Okay, measuring out distance. This concept is used when you're talking about sin. Okay, someone asks, well, what are you talking about? Okay, so here. Okay, so this is a target. Forgive my artwork. Okay, whenever someone was to shoot an arrow, okay, they would shoot an arrow at the target. Okay, and it would hit wherever it may hit. It might hit here, it could hit here, it can hit anywhere. But where you're supposed to hit is where? Where are you supposed? What's the goal?
The center.
The goal is the center. That's right here. That's the goal. You want to hit right here in the center. Okay. Once you hit the center, you'd be like, okay, I've been practicing this. I'm very efficient at it. I'm very good at it. So when I shoot my arrow, I want to be able to hit the target. So if you keep practicing, you're going to hit the target eventually. And then once you understand how to do that, you continue to do that same practice over and over and over again. Okay. It was very vital and necessary for a person to be able to shoot an arrow, especially when you're dealing with, war or an enemy. This is not just for fun. Okay. Shooting arrows were for killing people. Okay. To knock down your enemy. All right. This is interesting. So the goal is to hit the center, okay, of your target, wherever, and you have to use your eyes Okay, you have to use your hands. You have to have the sense of touch. You got to be able to read and understand what direction the wind is blowing in. You'd have to do all these things in order to hit this target. Okay, so when we talk about sin, right? Because that's what we're talking about, this great sin. When we're talking about sin, what we're talking about is missing the goal. Okay, that's what we're talking about. So when Moshe tells, he says the next day, Moshe said to the people, you've committed a terrible, right there is a gadol. You did a gadol. You did something that's really, really bad. Okay. Now I will go up to Yahweh. Maybe I will be able to atone for your sin. Maybe I will be able to atone and make an appeasement and get this covered. Okay. Because what you've done is you have totally missed the entire target. It's not that they just hit here on the bottom, folks. They didn't hit right here. What they hit was somewhere, and I'll put it in a different color. They hit way over here. Nowhere near the target. Nowhere. Okay? That's why it was so great, because it was done on purpose. It wasn't an accident. This was all intentional. Okay? So that's what sin is. Sin is missing the mark. It's if you put forth some effort, you might be able to hit somewhere on the target. You might be able to hit somewhere on it, and you keep practicing and practicing until you finally hit the goal. Once you hit the goal, do you stop? If you hit it one time, do you stop? No. You got to continue. So when we talk about us as a people and as a species of people, the Most High knows that you and I are not going to hit the goal all the time. What he wants is for us to put the bow in our hand, shoot the arrows consistently every single day, and then celebrate when you hit the goal. But understand that it's not going to be that one time. You have to keep doing it over and over and over and over again. Okay? I can stay on this for a long time. Oh, but here it is. The cord. How does this cord up here deal with this? Well, they would use the cord and take this cord right here and would say, okay, so how far did they miss the goal? What's the distance between here and here? What's the distance? What's the distance between here and the goal? So then you would take that measurement, that calculation, and you would start to think about what you have done. And you start considering, okay, well, why did I miss the target? Why? Was it because of the wind? Was it because of the way my arm was? Was it because, what's the problem? Maybe it's not the target. Maybe it's not the target. Check this out. You got to think of everything. Maybe it's the arrows. Maybe the arrow is bent. Maybe it's not a straight arrow. Maybe the arrow is crooked. Maybe it's not straight. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's bent in a way. Maybe a slight bend. It could be the arrow. It could be the position. It could be a lot of different things. But what we need to understand is that we need to think about why. Everything comes from thinking and comes from a thought. Okay? So what happened is they missed the goal. That's what they've missed. The word thissa also has to do with this idea of forgiveness. And it carries. So Moshe went back to Yahweh and said, please, these people have committed a gadol kata, okay? A terrible, great missing of the gold. They have made themselves a god of gold out of gold. Now, if you would just forgive their sin, that forgive right there is thissa. So we see as carry, but also now is being used as forgive. He wants Yah to hold on and bear with these people, to carry it. He says, but if you won't, then I beg you, blot me out of your book, which you have written. Blot me out of your book that you've written. He wants Yah to smear out his name. That's what that means. So if his name was written as Moshe, right? He's saying, if my name is written in front of you, what I want you to do is smear it out. So you can't even tell it was me. Just get it out of there. Blot it out. Smear it out. Smudge it out. Okay? If you won't, forgive them. I have a question for you. Did the Most High forgive this great sin? Did he forgive it? No. The Most High is never going to forgive idolatry. He's never going to forgive idolatry. Never. He actually says that to Moshe. He said, you know, keep moving. The time for their punishment will come. The time for their punishment will come. And in the book of Isaiah, he mentions that I'm going to repay you and your ancestors together for your crimes that you've committed against me. Yah is not going to forgive idolatry. There's certain things that he's unwilling to forgive because idolatry has some great consequences. Idolatry causes people to do things that we're going to see today that is very detrimental to humankind. Okay? There's some things that Yah's just not willing to forgive. Okay? But there's books. The Most High has several books. Okay? It's not just one book like you got in the New Testament called the Book of Life. Yah has all different types of books. Okay? So here, it doesn't tell us what book he's talking about. Doesn't he says the book which you have written. There's all kind of books that he's written. One of the books he's written is called the Sefer Chaim, which is the scroll of life. That's what Chaim means, life or lives, because that's plural, lives. The book of lives, okay, which they call the book of life. It's the book of lives. Whose life is in that book, in that scroll, okay? Yah has written scrolls with all kind of warnings on them. Yah has what they would call a Sefer of Zikaron, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. But the Sefer of Chaim is one of the very scrolls that he has. Yah has written scrolls all the time about different people that he said, I want you to remember Amalek and write this in the book of uprightness. There's a book of uprightness, which they would call the book of Jasher, which is the book of Yashar. And Yashar is to mean upright. So he told Joshua, write it in the book of Yashar. Write about these. Write about the book of the wars that I've had. Yah has all types of scrolls, what they would call books. Okay. In the book of Tehillim, in the writings of this, he says, erase them from the scroll of life, which is the Sefer Chaim. Right, erase them. This is David's asking, and in context, he's talking about these individuals that are the enemies of the children of Israel. Let them not be written with the righteous. So we know, based on this alone, that the scroll, I keep wanting to write it wrong, the scroll of lives, the only lives that are written in this scroll, okay, are the righteous. That's the only people that are in this book, in these writings. Okay? Most High documents everything, every detail. Okay? Only the righteous are in this book. Okay? The Sefer Zikaron. Zikaron comes from our root word called Zakar. And you know what Zakar is. Zakar has to do with a male, okay, or a memorial, okay, or a reminder, or remembrance, okay? See? So reminder, remembrance, memorial, all of those things are part of the Sefer, the scroll of Zikaron. This in particular Sefer, this in particular scroll is written, and within it, he mentions the individuals who fear Yahweh, okay? Yahweh spoke together, and Yahweh listened and he heard in a record book, which they have here record, which is the Zikaron, the book of remembrance, was written in his presence for those who feared Yahweh and who had respect for his name. Now, I want to break this down, okay? This idea of fear is what they would call Yah-Re. Yah-Re is a Hebrew word for fear, but its root has to do with the Torah. Okay, the Torah is part of this root. So, and the Torah means to point in a direction, meaning teach. So anybody that fears the Most High, I'm going to keep this as simple as possible. Okay, we're going to get the religion out and we're going to talk real talk. The real talk is those who fear Yahweh are going to be pointed in the direction that Yah has for them. They're going to be the ones who's interested in Yah's teachings. Okay. Now, it says Yahweh listened and heard. These two words right here are different. Okay. This one heard right here is Shema, meaning that he has heard what they said. Forgive the writing, you guys. I don't know if it's the internet. Shema means to listen and hear, okay, and to give a response. But it says he listened. And this one right here is Yah considered them. He paid attention. He heeded what they were saying. He only now just heard it. He was very attentive to listening to what they were saying. He was giving consideration to the ones who were always talking about him. They were always directed towards his teachings. And this is what you and I are called to do. See? Then he says that a scroll was written. So there's this scroll that's written in the presence. Someone's writing this. Okay? Remember in our Torah portion, it said Yah hid himself. It was a work of Yah, which were the two stones that he wrote on the front and the back. Okay. And the Lukoth has to do with the lips. Okay. Lukoth is the two tablets, and it has to do with the lips. It has to do with the lips because the lips are used there when they're dry, one would make them wet. Okay. So when the Most High wrote in the stone, what he did was by his own power, it was like he was writing in the clay about what he wanted to say to us. So the very words that he wrote, and it's his work, which is very special, okay, because he's not giving this to anyone else. He's saying, look, I wrote this based on what I wanted to say to the people that I've chosen, okay? So that work we saw in our Torah portion, but here, this is written in his presence. For those who are about his teachings, okay, and it says, and have respect for his name. That is where everything is literally at, is having respect for his name. We're going to talk a little bit about his name today. But let me tell you what this respect is. Okay, it's not just this fear and this great reverence for what his name represents and who he is, but it talks about this idea of a thought called a quashav. Okay, a quashav is a thought. That's what it is. It's a consistent thinking about the Most High. We're going to get into it. Okay, that's what it's about. Underneath here, we have a word called quasha. Okay, so we got quashav, which is a thought, and we got quasha. Okay, quasha, it means to be stiff neck. It means to be severe. Okay, and we're going to get into that. I thought it was interesting that both of these words share certain letters. Okay. So the letters that they're sharing, listen to this, they share the qua. Okay. They share the shin. Okay. So they share those in particular letters, which if you put the qua and then you put the shin, it's called quash. Okay. So one has a bet on the end, and the other one has a hay on the end. Okay, but they still share the same parent. They still share the same parent, quash. Okay, so when we look at the qua means to gather. That's what it means. We know that. That means it means gather or gathering. Okay, so when we talk about someone's thoughts, we're talking about how one devises, and they have a whole bunch of things that they have together. Okay, so we have literally thousands of thoughts a day. And the question is if you and I have respect for the Most High, how many of those thoughts do you actually include the Most High in on? Because the people who are talking about him and speaking about him are the ones who are consistently thinking about him. He's not just an add-on to my blessing. You take him into consideration when you're moving into, your life. Okay. So the Most High is saying, listen, those who are paying attention, they're listening intently to what I'm saying, they're watching me, they're considering something or someone very carefully. So what it is when, and I'll go back, when the Most High says that a record book was written in the presence of those who feared Yahweh and have respect for his name, and it says he listened, right? What he was doing, and he's responsive to those. He was Quashav. He was thinking about those who feared him. He is thinking about those who were thinking about him, who were thinking about his name and thinking about what it means. And I'm going to bring it out today to give you more insight about his name, so you can start thinking even more about the Most High. I'm not here today to condemn anyone. I'm here to bring us to another level. I'm here to bring us to another level, how we need to open up our ears and open up our eyes and use the faculties that the Most High has given us in order to get to know him and to come close to him. Okay. So he's literally saying the way that someone responds to me is the way that I'm going to respond to them. If you're thinking about me, I'm thinking about you. If you love me, I love you. That's the way it goes. Okay. I have a Hebrew word up here called azan nayim. Okay. Azan nayim. Azan nayim is your ears. We talked about this before. Okay. In our Torah portion, Aaron had asked the children of Israel to pull their earrings out of their ears and their nose rings, but their earrings, out of their wives, out of themselves, out of their sons and their daughters, the whole family. I want your earrings. It's like, okay, well, what is this about the ear? You know, last Torah portion, it talked about how the Most High said, when you inaugurate Aaron and his sons, what we're going to do is, I want you to put some blood and some anointing oil on their right ears. And okay, on their right ears, and also on their right thumb and a right big toe. Why? Because I need to set apart, because the ears are very special to the Most High. The ears of a person is very, very special. When the Most High gave you your ears, it wasn't just so you can listen, okay, and hear things. All right, that's not the only purpose. But it's for us to understand that he hears. Listen. Yahweh said to Moshe, go down, hurry, your people whom you brought up from the land of Mizraim have become corrupt. They're ruined. So they're ruined. It's not that they're going to be okay. No, they have ruined themselves. So quickly they have turned aside from the way I have ordered them to follow. They cast a metal statue of a calf, worshipped it, sacrificed to it, and said, Israel, here is your gods, who brought you up from the land of Mizraim. The Most High himself hears everything that you and I say. Actively, right now, he's listening intently to those who are talking about him. And you and I are not the only people that are talking about him. The nations are talking about him. His enemies are talking about him. The people that love him are talking about him. And they're talking about him, and they're making reference to him in terms of his character and who he is. Okay. Yah has given us our ears in order for us to balance things out, to be able to understand. Okay. By the children of Israel taking those earrings out of their ear and taking the gold that was going to be a teruma to be given as a contribution to the Most High for the sanctuary, what they did, everyone, is they cut off that opportunity with the Most High, because they didn't use what you would call balance. They didn't balance out the idea about Moshe not being around right now, but the Most High says something, irregardless to what they believed a man to do. They heard what the Most High said. They heard. Okay. And you said, well, you read to me just earlier this week that he told Moshe to tell the children of Israel. But what about the 10 words? They heard the 10 words. And one of those 10 words is that you're never to make an image of anything. You're never to bow down. You're never to worship anything. So this idea of balance has to do with the ears. And the balance is that your ears are your scales. A lot of you who have been around me for a while understand my teaching. I tell you all the time that you have to be careful about what you're listening to and who you're listening to. Okay? Because the ears are there in order to balance out what you're hearing, so you can make a wise decision. Balance and scales go hand in hand. They also have to do with judgment. They have to do with judgment. Okay? So when the Most High heard what they said, it literally had to be brought and weighed on the scales that he has, which is pretty scary, because if you think about it, Yah says, I'm going to pay you back according to your deeds. I'm going to pay you back for every word that you have spoken. I'm going to give you what you deserve, because I'm just and I'm a judge. And there won't be any bribes. There won't be any, consider my circumstance and my situation. None of that is going to be coming into play, because you and I are going to be put on the scales to be weighed out, to find out whether or not you and I are worthy of the Most High. Are we worthy of his Torah? You and I are just getting glimpses of the Torah right now. We don't have the full download. Jeremiah tells us, in that day, I'm going to give them another Torah. I'm going to write the Torah down in their hearts, and they're not going to have anybody have to teach them. These are the scales that you and I must be aware of. So before I judge you, okay, I want you to take your words that you speak and I want you to put them on scales and find out whether or not if they're wanting or it's too much or not enough. I want you to find out if the words that you've said, after you weighed them out, were they righteous? I want to hear what after you spoke something or you're talking, what your conversations are. I want you to put that on a scale. I've given you ears so you can weigh out what has been said, because I want you to know that's the reason why I gave you the ears. So when you come before me, you can't say, I never heard what you said. You see? That's what an azanayim is. That's your ears. Your ears are very important. Okay. There's a root for that word of azanayim. Okay. And inside of there, it's a parent root. It's two particular letters. Okay. Two letters that are parent roots. And those two letters are the zayin and the nun. So if I said za na yim, I would say here's the true parents. Okay. Why not this aleph? Why not that? Well, because it's a child. It's a child. It's a child root. Okay, this is how it'll be written in Hebrew. Okay, so here's the parents. Azan, okay, which they would call Ozen, is one ear. Okay, so Azan that you would see sometimes, it means an ear. Okay, so, we got our sister called Lasagna. She hears. She's saying that I have an open ear for the Most High. So the parents of this in particular word for ears has to do with za and a nun, a zayin and a nun. Well, what is a zayin? Agriculture. Remember, we're talking about agriculture because we're not a religion. We're an agricultural people. Okay. So the zayin is an agricultural implement. It's a tool. Okay. That's wide and it's used to plow. Okay. And that's why it looks like Sister Ray. Let me see here. It looks like this. And this part right here that I got is that they would tie this instrument, that point right here. They would tie this and it would go through the dirt. Here's the dirt. Okay. It would plow. They would put that and it would plow. And there's an ox that's on the front here that is pulling this instrument. Okay. And it's what they call plowing. Okay. It would plow that. And okay. And it would be it's wide so you can have more room. So when you plowed, you'd open up more stuff. And also too, it'd be called what they call a hoe. You know how you use a hoe and it's wide and you use that to get up the weeds and all that other stuff, right? So you can prepare the ground. The nun is a seed. Okay. Okay, that's what it means. So when we talk about this tool of the seed, right, and we're talking about this broadness, okay, it means to broaden the seed, okay, to open it up for the seed, okay, because it has to do with the harvest. Because if you don't do any plowing, it's not going to happen. All right. So when we think about these ears that you and I have, the Most High is saying also, not only is this balance and it's also about, judgment, but agriculturally, what it's talking about is preparation. I need you to prepare. I need to be preparation because if you don't prepare, there won't be a harvest. If you don't plant any seed, it's not going to be a harvest. Okay. So listen to this. So that's what that has to do with. So when we're talking about a harvest, it's going to shock you. when you harvest something, it has to do with a different type of, you can plant anything. You just don't have one type of species of plant or animal. Okay. So this idea of zan, right, is connected to a kind, right? It's a kind, right? A kind of species, a kind of plant. So if it's connected to our ears, the Most High is saying, okay, there's only a certain type of person. Okay, listen to me carefully. There's a certain kind of person. There's a certain species of a person. There's species of plants and animals and also too of people. Because everything that you and I get is from our blood. It's from your blood type. Okay. And you are exposed to certain things you can eat and certain things you can't eat, certain weather you could be in, certain weather you can't, certain environments you do well, in other areas you don't do well, right? So when the Most High is talking about a different kind, he's saying that when you hear something, okay, because the people didn't respond to him, he's saying that there are a certain type of people. And he said that they're a cliche, which we were going to get to in a minute, that they're a quashe. Okay, they're a very stiff-necked type of people. This is the kind of people they are, right? Because when I said something to them, they didn't hear what I said. Moshe and Yehoshua were coming down from the mountain, and Yehoshua said, I hear battle, I hear war. That's what I hear. And Moshe said what? He said, no, I don't hear a word of war. I don't hear a battle cry. I don't hear war, and neither do I hear that they've been subjugated. What I hear is they said singing, but what it was is in Hebrew is that I heard their answer. The cries that I heard was their cry of an answer of who they are and what type of people they are. So he's using his ears and what he heard. And what he heard was a certain kind of person, certain kind of people. Okay. And out of the word azanya, if I put an A right here to be azana, okay? Azan. Work for me, pen. Azanayim. See all the connections? So they got all kind of words that come from this, okay? So there's a word here called zana, which has the same parent, a Zion and a Nun right here, okay? But now they put a hey on here. So that's the child root. So what is this child? What kind of child is this? I want you to hear this. Open your ears. Azana is a whore. Azana is a whore. This is what the children of Israel were doing. When he said, I heard their answer, I heard what type of people they are. Okay. The Most High had told the children of Israel that I want you to be my people and you belong to me. Literally. The whole world is mine. That was a marriage covenant. See? So when he had called Moshe up to go and receive all the other details to tell his wife what his expectations were, because remember, she agreed in chapter number 19. Do you remember? Do you remember chapter number 19 what she agreed to? Somebody tell me, what did children of Israel agree to that every wife has to agree to? If you can remember. What is a wife? There's two things that a wife's supposed to agree to before she gets married. Two things. What are the two things that Israel said that they would do?
One of them, they'll do everything that he said.
Shemoah. That's number one. That means listening by obeying. Number two, what's the second thing? Same
Guarding.
letters. What?
Was it not guarding?
Yes, it is. It's called shamar. Guard. This is what a wife is supposed to do. She's supposed to listen, which is obeying, the voice of her husband, and she's supposed to guard what he said. And those are the two things that Israel said that she would do. Yah says that I've been a husband to her through my covenant. So when he gave this covenant to her, she said, yeah, I'll do it. So it didn't matter how many words it was. Now he's given all the details of what is going to be in his house, which is the Mishkan. And as he's there preparing the Mishkan and saying what he wants the Mishkan to be and how he wants to be close to her and so forth and so on, she decides to be a whore. So literally before he was able to consummate the union between them, this woman turned around and prostituted herself. You know, I was going to put something here in Ezekiel chapter number 16 for you adults. I knew his children on here, so I didn't put the stuff that the Most High said. It's literally, it's bad. I want you to read it though, chapter number 16 of Ezekiel. Yah is going hard on this woman. And he's calling her all kind of whores, and he's being very detailed about what type of whore she is. Okay. So he says that this woman has been a whore. The answer that Moshe heard was a whore. He heard a whore down there singing. And when he got there, what did he see? He saw them in a way that was like a whore. You see? So and what does a whore do? What is a whore? What does she do? Oh, that's right. She broadens and she spreads herself like you would with a, no pun intended, a hoe. She's broadened. She's spread it all over the place. She goes to whoever she wants to. Okay. And what she's doing is that instrument for the Zion, that word, the Zayin, is an implement to cut because it's cutting into the ground. Okay. What a whore does is just the opposite too. What she does, instead of her preparing for the seed, what she's going to do is she's going to cut off the seed. The seed that was supposed to be given to the woman in order to bring forth more children and build a household is gone now because this man has taken his seed and he put it inside of a whore. So she cut off the seed, the continuation. The Most High says, if you and I become whores, then we're going to be cut off. There shouldn't be any whore in Israel. If a daughter was caught in any type of whoredom, she was to be taken to the front of her father's house and set on fire, which is an idea that you and I need to understand, because the Most High said he's coming in fire and he will burn up the daughter who's been a whore. He's not just telling the priest that. He said, if your daughters go out and they're playing the whore, you found out, you bring her to the front of the house and you set her on fire. Because her father is set apart. Is not your father the Most High? Is he not set apart? You've been playing the whore, you're being put to death, and you're being put to death by fire. Yes, Rivka.
It's also a question of the seed. So once you have the whoredom of Israel, or any woman or anything outside of that, there's a question of whether the seed is legit.
Wow. You hear what she just said? There is the legitimacy. I mean, I don't know if you guys watch the Game of Thrones, but they call a lot of people, you bastard, Jon Snow. Listen, if the seed is compromised. So what the Most High is saying at this moment, when the children of Israel done this was a big deal. This was Gadol, everyone. This is Gadol. This is huge. This is the rope that tied them down. This was the mark that they missed. This was huge. Because of what? Because they didn't listen to what the Most High said. A whore is somebody who won't listen. They can't be in the authority of their husband. That's a whore. You heard what I just said? You won't listen to your husband. You're operating just like a whore. The Most High says it in Ezekiel chapter number 16. He says, you know, you would go sleep with other men instead of your own husband because you don't want to be told what to do. You understand? So Israel is by nature a whore. Okay. And the Most High is going to give us some more details on that. I found in our Torah portion too, this idea of what they call quo weka. Okay. Quo weka, something more positive, something not as tough. Okay. Ko weka. And has a root to it's called kawa. Okay. And I want to go over these two ideas here. Okay. Ko weka. Ko weka. Let me see right here. Ko weka is for someone to wait. Someone to wait. Then I told her, it's the Most High talking, you are to remain in seclusion for a long time and be mine. The book of Hosea has to do with a whore. Yah told Hosea to go marry a whore because it represented the children of Israel. And he says, you are to remain in seclusion for a long time and be mine. You are not to be a prostitute, and you are not to be with any other man. And I won't come in to have sex with you either. Now listen to this. For the people of Israel are going to be in seclusion. Why? Because she's been a prostitute. She's been a whore. Okay. And for a long time, I'm going to put them in seclusion for a long time without a king, prince, sacrifice, standing stone, ritual vest, household gods. Afterwards, the people of Israel will repent and seek Yahweh their Elohim and David their king. They will come trembling to Yahweh and his goodness in the Akarith Hamayim in the last days. Why am I using this scripture? Because the Kol Weka means that you have to wait. You're in exile right now and you're in seclusion. Why? Because of your whoredom and your ancestors. Okay. But I want you to see the equivalation between what he says here and what he says here. Sex and intimacy that he says he's not going to do with this woman, Hosea was going to do with his wife. He says this, after she committed this whoredom, he had to go buy her. And when he bought her back and he brought her back to herself, he had to put her in seclusion for a while in order for her to go through a process of purification by setting her apart, away, because she's been with too many people. Okay. And listen, no other man. The other man that you and I have been having sex with is JC. Or if you're a Muslim, it was Mohammed. Or if there's still having sex with Yahushua. They're still having intimacy. You understand? With the gods of the peoples. You see? So the people of Israel, their sex with the Most High, listen to me carefully. Their intimacy with the Most High is them having a king, a prince, a sacrifice, a standing stone, a ritual vest, and not household gods, but to have the priesthood in place in order for them to have an altar to draw near and come close to the Most High. That's why he says if anybody comes near to this altar that has no authorization, is to be put to death. Not just the Leviim are supposed to come to me because I want to just be with them intimately. They're on behalf of the sons of Israel. There's a certain feeling that the Most High gets when we bring him contributions. But if there's no king, there's no prince, there's no sacrifice, there's no intimacy. The reason why we don't have the intimacy we don't have today is because our people have prostituted themselves. Ask the Most High. Well, last week was kind of tough. Why you want tough again? The day for comforting my people will come. You tell my people what they've been doing. You tell them, my people, that they have to go in seclusion. You tell my people koweka. You tell them kawa. You tell them what kawa means. Kawa is about waiting. Okay. Remember, I told you the idea of this great, terrible sin had to do with a rope and a cord. Okay. So when things are gathered, listen to me, kawa has to do with gathering. For why? Why? Why do we need to wait? Okay. So listen, gathering means to be bound together. The only reason why the Most High gathered the sons and the children of Israel is to gather them together to be bound to them. It's waiting to be bound. Our whole time in Mizraim was a very terrible time. And the Most High saw what we were going through, and he wanted to be bound with us. He knew that you and I had the propensity to be whores. He knew this. Read Ezekiel chapter number 16, it'll tell you. Okay. But kawa means to be gathered, to be bound together, but also the idea of waiting. Okay. The cords are used to be held back by being bound. Okay. That's what a cord is used for. It's not only for measuring. It's not only for tying. It's for binding something, to be held back. So when you think about be held back, oh, to wait. I got to wait. I got to be bound. The Most High took us and he bound us. And guess what we did? We para. What is para, David? What are you talking about? According to the Torah portion, it is to loose. The children of Israel got loose. What they did is they didn't want to wait. They didn't want to wait because they felt disappointed. So what they did is they unbound themselves. So they can be considered to be now this idea of being free. I don't care what the Most High said. I want to be free. I'll loose myself for the time being. And when they got loose, they took their clothes off. They unbind themselves. They took off what they would call the restraints. The calf, again, everyone, if you were in my teaching earlier this week, is one who's no restraints, but it's also one who dances around in a very frisky way. They got naked. That's what they did. This is what our people did. And so the cries that he heard was not of battle. It wasn't of subjection. It was one of friskiness and dancing. As the dancing, the sounds of a whore. The Most High says this about Israel. When Israel was a child, I loved him. Out of Mizraim, I called my son. But the more the prophets called them, the farther they went from them. They sacrificed to Balaam, that means other gods, and they offered incense to idols. Yet it was I who taught Ephraim to walk. I took them by their arms, but they did not know it was I who was healing them, who was guiding them on through human means with reins made of love. That word reins right there is cords. The cords that I put around you are the cords of love. And with them, I was like someone removing the yoke from their jaws, and I bent down to feed them. My cords of love. The cords that had bound you before were cords of subjection, cords of cruelty, cords that bind you so you couldn't be free. And you weren't even receptive to my love. You were not receptive to my care. You have cut yourself off from being bound to me. Not only do I love you as a husband, I love you as a father. That's why I've given you these relationships so you can understand what love really looks like. And so you can start operating within it. When Moshe saw that the people had gotten out of control, that they got loose, because Aharon had allowed them to get out of control to the derision of their enemies. He said, what was this? What is this derision of enemies? And who are their enemies? They had enemies among them? No. This word right here means to whisper. The whispering, not of their enemies, but a whispering of those who were among them. The other nations that came out with them. It was so filthy and so bad. There was people there that were looking at them like, oh my goodness, do you see this? While they're dancing and taking their clothes off and doing vile things. And what was the cause of it? It was idolatry that was the cause of these whisperings. So to loose yourself and to let your hair down, take off your clothes and be free from what the Most High said, is because you're not willing to wait on the Most High. Dawid says something. I looked at the Torah portion. I came across this in the Psalms, not because it was part of the reading program, but because the Most High just guided me there. Dawid said, I lift my inner being to you. And I said, Yah, what is this in Hebrew? And guess what it is? It's Esa. Esa, like Tissa is Esa. So when he says, I will lift my inner being, I will lift my soul. I'm going to lift my nefeshka to you. I'm going to lift the very person who I really am to you. I want you to test my soul. I want to lift my inner being to you. I want to lift my desires to you. I want to lift my mind to you. I want to lift my body to you. I want to lift every part of me to you. Our Torah portion is about someone carrying something and someone lifting something. We found that the children of Israel had experienced what you would call disappointment. They were disappointed, but not Dawid. Dawid says, I trust you. I put my confidence in you, my Elohim. Don't let me be disgraced. The same word that's used there for disgrace is the same word that they mistranslated over in our Torah portion, where they said the people couldn't wait any longer because Moshe took a long time. No, it said they were disappointed. Dawid is saying, don't let me be disappointed. Don't let me be disgraced. Don't let me be put to shame. Don't let my enemies gloat and celebrate over me. You see? The enemies of Yahweh were celebrating because they were getting free of him. They believed that he was a disappointment to them because he didn't respond fast enough for them. These stiff-necked people. In our Torah portion, the Most High says that no man shall ever come to me empty-handed. No one shall come to me empty-handed. What can you bring to the Most High? Some say, I don't have anything to bring to the Most High. I don't have the land. I don't have a basket. I have nothing. I don't have anything, so I don't need to do nothing. We're not in the land. I don't have nothing to offer Yahweh. What does he want from me? I have nothing to give to him. You can lift your soul to the Most High. Don't you come before the Most High empty-handed. Bring to the Most High your desires. Bring to him your trust and your confidence. Bring to him the praise that's worthy of him. No one waiting for you will be disgraced. No one waiting for Yahweh will be disgraced. No one waiting for Yahweh will be disappointed. No one waiting for Yahweh will be put to shame, because shame, disgrace, and disappointment awaits those who break faith for no reason. Like those whores out in Mount Sinai. There was no reason for them to break faith with the Most High. None. They could have built an altar to the Most High. Like he said, all they had to do was just build an altar. They didn't have to build the golden calf. They didn't have to request that. They could have easily said, build an altar to the Most High and let's have a party tomorrow. But no. They didn't do that. He told them, if you wanted to come to me, all I ask for you in the same context is don't build any idols, don't make any images, just build an altar for me. You still could have gave me those same offerings that you gave when the one you did for that golden calf, but you broke faith with me for no reason, and you will be disgraced. I'm going to put you to shame. I don't care what you have. You bring it to the Most High. I don't care if you have a little bit of faith, a little bit of courage, a little bit. You bring something in your hand to the Most High. You stop showing up to him with nothing in your hand. You haven't done nothing but a whole bunch of promises of I will, and yeah, I'll do everything you said. We have to show the Most High. And this is something that these Christians had told you and I that no, you don't have to do anything. It's all done for you. It's instant oatmeal. You just add water, mix it up, it's good. No, this ain't Nestle Quick chocolate milk. You ain't gonna mix nothing in no milk and then get your chocolate. It ain't gonna happen like that. You have to go grow some coca. You got to go have to till some fields to put it in there. You're going to have to water. You're going to have to nurture. You got to take care of it. You got to guard. You got to protect it. You have to do something more than this instantaneously, coming to the Most High. The Most High has outlined to us in the Torah portion through his servant Moshe about a path and a direction. He wanted to know the Most High. He wanted to know the Most High. But David talks about it in the same chapter number 25 of Tehillim, the Psalms. I'm going to lift my soul up to you. I'm not going to be ashamed. Don't let me be ashamed. Those who broke in faith, those are the ones who are going to be ashamed. I said, wow, look how this is connected to the Torah portion. David said, make me know your ways. I want to know your paths. I want to know the places that you've tread. I want to know Yah has paths. Yah has ways that you and I have access to. You know, there's some gated communities that you just don't have access to and they won't let you walk on their streets. The Most High has a gated community and says, listen, I'm going to open this gate for you. I want you to walk on my paths. He asked Yahweh to teach him, Lamadani, teach me, let me know your ways, let me know your paths. In the Hebrew, the word path has to do with what they would call the Ruach. It's a prescription. They would call this the Spirit of the Most High or the wind, because the wind has paths. Are you talking double talk, David, that we have the Spirit of the Most High? What I'm telling you today is just like the wind has a path, so do you. You can follow the Most High's path. The Most High's path means this. It means, you look at the two letters, you got the Resh and you got the Ket. Okay, Rock. Okay, the Resh, which is Hebrew for Rosh, which is a head. And then you have the wall. Okay. The head represents the man. The wall means outside. So what is it? It's the man outside. The man that's outside is the man who has a certain prescribed path that they follow every single day. They have a routine. They have a schedule. Okay. Right here, I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go take the lambs over here. I'm going to hit this destination. I'm going to bring them over here. Then I got to do this. I got to milk them. I got to do this. They always got something to do. They always got something to do. Yah's talking about you should always have something to do. You should always be on some type of path. That's the name of this Torah portion that I put it together called the pathway, because you and I are supposed to be on a path. The only way that you and I will ever be guided into the truth is following Yah's path. The only way that we'll get to understand is if we ask Yah to teach us. Teach me. Lamadani. That lamad means a staff. Guide me with your shepherd staff. Because you are the Elohim who saves me. You're my salvation. My hope in you, right, is in you all day long. In Hebrew, it said Hayom. I said, what do you mean, Yah? What are you talking about? Salvation and, this path. Yah is saying today. Today is the day. Stop living for tomorrow. Your hope for my salvation is today. And if I don't show up today, you wait. Don't get distracted. You wait for me. You don't do what your ancestors did because I didn't come on when you wanted me to. You walk on my path today. You hope for my salvation today. You do what I tell you to do today. You do your work when I told you to do it 6 days. Your hope is not in tomorrow. Your hope is in today, because the day that he comes is the day that you'll be saved. And that'll be your today. You and I have to wait on the Most High. Moshe had said something. He literally said the same identical thing. He said, nevertheless, you have said, I know you by name. And also, you have found favor in my sight. He's reciting Yahweh. Yah told him, sharing intimate details about his conversation between him and the Most High. Now, please, if it is really the case that I have found that matzah, the Cain, and the Ba'anakah in your eyes, your enanim, if I really have found this grace in your sight, show me your ways. Show it to me. Make it known to me so that I will understand you and continue finding matzah, Cain, and Ba'anakah. Your eyes. Remember the eyes of Azanayim? Yah has Anakim, his eyes. Moreover, keep on seeing with your eyes this nation as your people. You see? It's finding favor in Yah's sight. That's what he wanted. David has said this, Yahweh's way is good. Yahweh is good. Yahweh's told. Yahweh's functional. He's fair. Yah's fair. This is why he teaches sinners the way. What way to live? Do you remember when they talked about, well, we want somebody to go in front of us. We want somebody to go lefanecha. We want them to go in front of us so we can live in front of it. Well, if you and I were waiting for the Most High, and we understand that he's fair, that he's going to teach us on how to live. He's only going to lead the humble. He's only going to, I'll say it again, he's only going to lead the humble. Yah does not lead the prideful nowhere. He does not lead the arrogant nowhere, because they're obstinate and they won't listen to what he says. Our ancestors were not humble before the Most High. This is the reason why they didn't want him to lead them. He leads the humble to do what is right, and he teaches the humble what? To live his way. So humility is part of our walk. In the book of Micah, it says, teach me, Yah. Teach me how to humble myself so I can walk before you in a humble way. All Yahweh's paths are Cain, their grace and their truth, and to those who keep his covenant and testimonies. To those who guard what the Most High said, who guard the 10 words, who guard the Shabbat. It takes humility. You see? I want you to understand something. Earlier, we discussed about the Most High having a memorial and reminding himself about what the sons of Israel and the children, the men and the women, and those who feared the Most High had spoke to one another and considered him and were thoughtful of him. You and I have to make a memorial within ourselves. What do you mean, Dawid? You and I must remember Yah's compassion and his grace. Moshe asked the Most High to remember our ancestors. Remember earlier this week, we talked about there was two things that he requested in the Most High, and he gave a great desire, a command to, saying, hey, shew from your anger against your people. And second, to remember the promise that you made to the ancestors, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. And Yah did. Remember your compassion and grace, Yahweh, for these are ages old. Don't remember my youthful sins and transgressions, but remember me according to your grace, for the sake of your goodness, Yahweh. That was Dawid's request. Those of us who have committed a great deal of sin and transgression and rebellion against the Most High, we can all relate to this. Yah will remember his compassion and his grace, but it's only for those who keep his laws, his statutes, and his commandments. This is not an empty request from somebody who continues to do what they want to do. A person who's humble, okay, a person who's walking on Yah's way. This is in context to what Dawid has been saying from the first time in verse number 1, to lift up his soul. The person who lifts up his soul is the one who's humble. The person who's lifted up his soul is the one who's waiting for the Most High. The person who lifts up his soul can expect and ask the Most High to remember his compassion and his grace, like Moshe asked for the children of Israel. That's the reason why we're not destroyed. There's a Hebrew word that I want to also remind you about. It's called asher. Asher is what has to do with accord, again. Okay? Grammatically, it's called a relative pronoun. Okay, so what it does is it relates the pronoun to the verb, okay, or connects the noun to the verb. So whatever the verb is, this word asher is what is like a rope or a cord that makes a connection between the noun and the verb. So it'd say, okay, well, this is the person, so let's connect this in particular noun to this verb, or this verb to this noun. And that connection is called asher, which is a cord. So even in the language, you can still see the agricultural influence. When they wrote that, the word asher means cord. It has a whole bunch of other meanings too, like rich. It has the meaning of that which is upright. Ashar, you see what I'm saying? So asher, yasher, ashar. Okay, so asher, and this is one of the names of Israel's sons, Asher. Okay, see? So if I put this right here, yasher, that means to be upright. See? If I say esher, that means to be rich, or aser, to be 10. See? So all these words have a connection, but asher is a cord. Okay? Making a connection. So what is the connection? Where's the cord? Yahweh said to Moshe, I will also do what you have asked of me, because he made a request to remember our fathers and what he promised he made, because you have found favor. You are the matzah Cain and Ba'enikah inside of my eyes. I know you by name. I know you by character. I know you by character. But Moshe said, I beg you to what? Show me your glory. I thought we just asked Dawid has said, show me your ways. You know why he said that? Is because he understood that the Most High said that no one can ever see me. I'll let my glory pass by you, but in your presence, right? In the name of Yahweh, moreover, I'll show you my favor whomever I will, and display my mercy to whomever I will. Going back to what he said, that nobody can ever see me. I'll let my glory pass by you, but you'll never see me. Okay? So for us to want to know, Yah says, I'll cause you to know. I'll cause you to know my goodness, because it'll pass before you. You said, well, what? I didn't have that experience like Moshe. I wasn't put in the cleft of a rock. The Most High has shown you his goodness by showing you Canaan and Rakam. Those last words here, he says, I will pronounce the name of Yahweh, which we're going to conclude on in just a moment. That's Yah's goodness. It's his name. Okay. But he says something here. Moreover, I will show, make known my favor, my Cain to whoever I will, and I will display my mercy to whomever I will. The two words that he's mentioning right here about Cain and favor is this. Favor is called Canaan. They would have Cain. Okay. The root is Canaan. The mercy over here is called Rakam. Okay. There's a difference between favor and mercy. Okay. It's not grace to allow you to do what you want to do. It's not that at all. Okay. Mercy is not, well, you don't get what you deserve. Listen what those idiots told you and I. Yeah, they're idiots because they didn't even take the time to share what the true meaning is. Mercy and favor from an abstract term can mean anything. Well, God has showed me favor. Why? Because I got a new job. So he showed me favor. Oh, he showed me mercy because I didn't get what I deserve. I was supposed to be put to death, but I didn't. So that's mercy. Right? And it could be anything. Right? Not in Hebrew. In Hebrew, it's different. Canaan, in terms of favor, means this. It means the wall and the seed. You're like, wow, okay, so how are you going to explain this? What's a wall? What does a wall do? A wall separates. Okay? And it means outside. Okay? It means outside. It also means to protect. Okay? The seed. What does it mean? It means to continue.
Multiply.
It means multiply, right? It means family or sons and daughters, not just sons and daughters, just sons, it's sons and daughters, okay? Because when a man has a seed, it could be a son or a daughter, okay? So the sons and the daughters, forget my writing, I'm like writing like I'm a freaking doctor. It has to do with family. So when we talk about Yah's favor, that they're using in English, which they would say grace. When we talk about Yah's favor and his grace, Moshe asked the Most High for this favor. Because he said, I found favor, I found grace in your eyes, right? I found this favor. And he says, but Most High says, I'm only going to show this to whoever I want to show it to. Okay? I'm only going to do this, right? So the wall seed is that which is on the outside, which is protection, and it means to continue. So what it is that the protection continues. That's what grace is. Because the walls were the walls of the tents. When the children of Israel were together, they had their tents. And every one of their walls of their tents will build a circle. Okay. So every time there was a tent, it built a wall. Okay. And what it was, it kind of enclosed them from other people. Okay. We've had this discussion before where all these tents are all put in certain places to create what they would call a wall of protection. Okay. So it means that the wall continues, right? So the wall continues and it keeps people on the outside from what's on the inside. What's on the inside is the family. What's on the inside is that which needs to be protected. So what Moshe is asking the Most High for is for protection and for the family to continue. That's what he's asking for. And so what we understand is the Most High say, yeah, I'll do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that for you because you found this in my eyes. Because remember, I'm going to destroy everybody, but I'll start off with you only. As you know, I can start a whole nation off with you, right? So when he talks about this, he's saying, yeah, I'll do that. I will show favor. I will let them continue. I'll give protection to whomever I will. And I will display mercy to whomever I will. Okay. Let me go and explain mercy right quick. Mercy, rakam, has to do with the womb. That's what rakam has to do with. Mercy is like compassion. So I know that when he says, I'm going to show mercy, what he's saying is, I'm going to let that which is in the womb come out, which is the children. That's my mercy. If a woman can have a child and it continues to have children, it's because of Yah's mercy. I can let whoever I want to continue. If I cut somebody off, I'll cut off their children. I will close the womb. I can open the womb. I can close the womb. And that's my mercy. So when Raquel was mad, talking about, hey, put a baby in me, Yaakov said, who am I? Am I Elohim? I can't do that. I can put the seed there, but I can't make it grow. The Most High is the one who can show the mercy for a child to come out. When I thought about these two things, I thought what goes along with the womb, not only the children, but the Most High had mentioned these two words. And I said, well, why? Why is Moshe asking for this favor? And why is he asking for this mercy? And why did the Most High respond to whomever I will is whomever I will? Whomever I will is whomever I will. And I looked at the two verb tenses and how they were used, because these are literally actions. Okay. So this is a verb, which is an action, and this is a verb. Even though a womb is a noun, right? Because you can use Hebrew verbs and nouns, they correspond to each other, right? Because it's still this still is a noun, it's still a wall, this is still a womb, it's a person, place, or thing, still the same thing, but they have an action. So I said, well, what's the action? Well, this one here is what they will call a call stem, meaning a very simple way. S-I-M-P. Come on, pen. Simple, very simple action, way is done. This one right here is a PL. It's very forceful. Very forceful way. And so, well, why did you choose to be favor in a very simple way? And why a PL in a very forceful way? Why is this? Easy answer. For Yah, it's not a big deal. Listen to me. It's not a big deal for Yah to show favor. It's very simple for him. It's nothing. It's nothing for him to show it because that's who he is. Ooh, you better hear what he said. It's who he is. It's not something hard for him to do. And it's something that should not be forced. You understand? When you're talking about a womb, when you're talking about bringing forth a child, okay, something coming out of womb, it doesn't come out easy. It's not coming out easy. Is there ever a child that's born without any birth pains, except for the Christ in the New Testament? Is there any baby that's ever been born without having to struggle to get here? You understand? What is Yah letting us know? He's letting you know that even I understand the womb. I know that that which has to be born is going to be a forceful deal. I know when I talk about showing mercy, I know whoever I got to show it to, it's not going to be forceful on my part. It's going to be forceful for them. I got to push them out of the womb. They don't want to come out. I got to push them out. I got to push Israel out of the womb. I didn't have a text up here, but in the book of Isaiah, it talks about how the Most High says, I'm creating Israel out of the womb. And then finally, the servant of the Most High comes out of the womb and says, the Most High has called me from the womb out of his mercy, out of his compassion. So it's going to be a forceful deal. So that which is supposed to be born in us, we had to go through all the struggles and the pains that we're going through right now, everyone, in order for us to be born. In order for us to come to the point where we need to come, we have to go through this process, these very difficult hardships. That's why he says that I will show favor. I will let whoever I want to continue, and whoever I want to be born is going to be born. And they're going to come the way that I want them to come. Okay. The question is who though? Me. Who? Who? That's what me means in Hebrew. Who? Who are these that the Most High is going to show mercy to and compassion? From this, you can know that Yahweh your Elohim is indeed Elohim, the faithful Elohim, who keeps his covenant and extends grace to those who love him and observes his mitzvot to 1,000 generations. But he repays those who hate him to their face and destroys them. He will not be slow to deal with someone who hates him. He will repay him to his face. Only those who do what the Most High says are the ones who are going to receive the mercy and the compassion. Those are the only ones, those who love him. The ones, when we talk about atonement, right? Because this is what Moshe wanted. Moshe wanted Yah he wanted himself to atone for these people. Moshe went back to Yahweh and said, please, these people have committed a terrible gadol sin, a kata. They have made themselves a god out of gold. Now, if you would just forgive their sin, but if not, I beg you, blot me out of the book in which you have written. Then Yahweh answered Moshe, those who have sinned against me are the ones I will blot out of my book. Those who have sinned against me are the ones I'm blotting out. So those who have sinned against me, I'm blotting them out of my book. Yes. It was a Yahweh's order that this happened to Yehuda in order to remove them from his sight because of the sins of Manasseh and all he had done. I brought this up because sin, again, is missing the mark. And I thought this was something that we need to remember. Talking about how the Most High has allowed a lot of things to happen to people and to Yehuda. In this case, he was removing them out of Jerusalem to burn it down. And it was because of the sins of Manasseh and all he had done. Because I'm going to show mercy to 1,000 generations. I'm going to show compassion whomever I'm going to show compassion. And because the innocent blood he had shed, because that's what Manasseh did. For he had flooded Jerusalem with innocent blood, and Yahweh was unwilling to forgive. Shemot is about Yah's character. There are some sins that Yah is not going to forgive. He's unwilling to forgive. The reason why Manasseh has shedded innocent blood, which a lot of our people had got the innocent blood of JC the Christ, and they believe that the Most High, it says not only that he's unwilling, but it also means in the Hebrew, it says lo. That means he is never willing. He's never able. He will never consent to forgiving shedding of innocent blood. And this is not the first place it's said. Yah will never consent to forgive anyone who's shed innocent blood. The reason why they're shedding innocent blood is because of their idols. That's why he won't forgive idolatry, because your idolatry will cause you to shed innocent blood. Your idolatry will cause you to accept the shedded innocent blood of an innocent person in order to forgive your sins, instead of taking responsibility for what you're supposed to do and walking on the path that the Most High told you to walk on. So he's not going to forgive. Again, those who have sinned against me are the ones I will blot out of my book. And that's in context of idolatry. Here, last, I think, part we're going to talk about is designing a plan. We have to design a plan on how we're going to move forward. Designing a plan was what the Most High had mentioned to us about that word kwashav, meaning the thought process, because that's what it is. It's to think constantly about the Most High. What does it mean to think about the Most High? In conclusion, is to actually turn over your thoughts. Most High is asking for you to turn over your thoughts to him, and he's asking for you to design a plan to do that. Literally calculate, literally examine, literally take inventory. So within your thoughts, you can start thinking about him, because those who think about him and the ones who design those types of thoughts are the ones that he's going to remember. And those are the ones he's going to write down. So the Most High has literally given you an open book test. Okay. And this test that you and I are in, the book is open. You got all the answers. Okay. So the last thing that he does not want us to do is to default to what people usually do. They go to their default setting. They revert back to what they used to do. Okay. So in default, the children of Israel, by default, they decided to make this golden calf because that's what they wanted. Okay. They wanted gods. But here's a story about a king. Okay. His name is Yarovam, meaning the people contends. He said to himself, now the rulership will return to the house of David. For if these people continue going up to offer sacrifices in the house of Yahweh in Jerusalem, their hearts will turn back to their master, Rakav, the king of Yehuda. Then they will kill me and return to Rakav, the king of Yehuda. I put this here because this is not something that's not connected, but it's actually connected to the Torah portion, because what happened is they did the same identical sin that the Most High is talking about in our Torah portion. The sin that they've done, this in particular king did in Israel, was that he says, after seeking advice, the king made 2 calves of gold, not 1, 2. And he said to the people, you have been going up to Jerusalem long enough. Here are your gods, Israel. The same identical phrase, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim, the same words that were spoken in the wilderness hundreds of years before. He placed one in Bethel and one in the other in Dan, and the affair became a sin. For the people went to worship before the one in Bethel and all the way down to Dan to worship the other. He also set up temples on the high places and made Kohanim from among all the people, even though they were not descended from Levi. So he had no problem going against what the Most High said. Now, this guy is a guy that the Most High had called in him to be the king of Israel because of Shlomo's idolatry. And when he figured out that the people were going to keep going back up to Jerusalem, he got worried. So he went and he got some advice, and they told him, let's make some golden calves. So what does this tell us about the children of Israel? It should tell us a few things. That they went back to their default setting. Instead of them turning and returning to the Most High and reverting to him, they turned back to what they have always wanted to do, which is to go down to the images of the golden calves. This is the reason why Israel today has been dispersed through all the entire world, is because of this in particular sin. Okay. And what he did was he said, you know what? Instead of them going to Jerusalem to go to Yah, because that's where they were going every year, now we're going to do a festival. Just like you saw in our Torah portion, when Aaron made that image, he said, now we can have a Chag to Yah. Same word is being used. And a Chag is a festival. Okay. I think we went over it before. The Chag is a ket, which is the wall, which is outside. And then we have the G right here, which is a gemil. And that means a foot, and that means to walk. Okay. So what they would do is they would gather together. Okay. And then they would gather together, and there would be the feet outside to come together and create a circle. And in that circle, they would dance, just like they did in wilderness. So the Most High's festivals, okay, are for dancing. So if you don't have any dance, you better get some dancing in you, because the festival of Matzah is for a time for celebration for 7 days. Okay. Pesach is not a festival, by the way. Pesach is not a Chag. It's not a festival. It's a memorial to the Most High, right? It's a what they call a vigil. Okay. We're going to go over that next week because Pesach is coming upon us. But anyway, he decided that he wanted to have a Chag after making these golden calves. Okay. Oh, why did it go there? And so here it is. Yarovam instituted a festival, a Chag, in the 8th month, and on the 15th day of the month, similar to the festival held in Yehuda. He went up to the altar in Bethel and to sacrifice of the calves he had made, and he placed And he placed in Bethel the Kohanim he had appointed for the high places, which were not Levim. He went up to the altar, which he had set up in Bethel on the 15th day of the 8th month, in the month in which he had chosen on his own, and instituted a festival for the people of Israel. He went up to the altar to burn incense, which is a no-no. What am I trying to tell you? On his own accord, after his own thought, in his own default setting, instead of them going up to Jerusalem on the 7th month on the 15th day. Okay. The 7th month and the 15th day is Sukkot. This guy says, I'm going to go on the 8th month and I'm going to go on the 15th. I'm going to do something totally different. See? Going back, and why? Because he was afraid that the people would go against him. And what did he say? He said, they'll kill me. So this kind of gives you a little bit more insight too about why Aharon did what he did, because he was afraid that the people were going to kill him. Listen what he says. He said to himself, now the rulership will return. You see, to the house of David. That's what he was talking about. They're going to return to them. And he thought, they're going to kill me. They're going to kill me. They're going to kill me. Mm-hmm. I thought that was okay. So we need to turn over our thoughts. We need to be honest with the Most High. I don't have enough time to go over Quashay as thoroughly as I like to, but I want to let you know that the Most High said his people are cruel, they're difficult, they're hard, they're harsh, they're obstinate, they're stubborn, and they're stiff. They have stiffness about them. He said, I've been watching these people. I know who they are. So the Most High knows who we are. He knows what we're doing. He knows what we're about. And therefore, if we don't do what he asks us to do, he says, I'm not going to forgive you. Okay. Proclamation is about polluting Yahweh's name. I'm going to close with this. Yahweh's name has been polluted. Okay. Ezekiel, excuse me. What is Shemoth? Yahweh passed before him. This is in our Torah portion. He proclaimed Yohei Wahe. Yohei Wahe is Elohim. He's merciful. He's compassionate. He's slow to anger. He's rich in grace and truth. He's showing grace to 1,000 generations. He's forgiving offenses, crimes, and sins, yet not exonerating the guilty, but causing the negative effects of the parents' offenses to be experienced by their children and the grandchildren, even by the 3rd and 4th generations. There's a conversation that's being held, okay, like I told you, okay? Most High mentions this in the book of Ezekiel. He says, the word of Yahweh came to me, Son of man, when the house of Israel lived in their own land, they defiled it by their manner of life and their actions. Their way before me was like the uncleanness of Nida, meaning a menstrual cycle. Therefore, I poured out my fury on them because of the blood they have shed in the land and because they defiled it with their idols. The Goyim are still talking. I have scattered them among the nations and dispersed them throughout the countries. I have judged them in keeping with their manner of life and actions. When they came to the nations that they were going, they profaned Kodosh Shemi, which is my set apart name. So the people said of them, these are Yahweh's people who have been exiled from his land. I want to let you know something. Profaning Yah's name is different than what you and I have been taught. Okay. This week, the Most High has revealed that when he revealed his name and he said that he was merciful, he said he's compassionate, he said that he's forgives sins, he forgives crimes, and all these sorts of things that that what we're doing and where we are right now is a complete contradiction to what that name represents. Okay, so there's a pattern, and I want to explain this to you. I think this is the last scripture here, and I'm going to explain this pattern. He says, but I'm concerned about my Kodesh Shemi, meaning my name. Okay, my name is very set apart, which the house of Israel profaning among the nations where they have gone. Therefore, tell the house of Israel that the Supreme Master Yahweh says this, I'm not going to do this for your sake, house of Israel, but for the sake of my Kodosh Shemi, meaning my set apart name, which you have been profaning among the nations where you went, I will set apart my great name to be regarded as Kodesh, meaning set apart, since it has been profaned in the nations. You profane it among them. The nations will know that I am Yahweh, says the Supreme Master Yahweh, when before their eyes I am set apart through you to be regarded as Kodesh. So let me explain to you what this all means. What this means for us is this. When the Most High tells us about everything that he is, when he revealed his name to Moshe, when he said that he's merciful, okay, he said, I am Elohim. That's number one. I'm merciful. I'm compassionate. I'm slow to anger. I'm rich in grace and truth. I'm showing grace, which we went over, to 1,000 generations. I'm forgiving offenses, crimes, and sins, yet not exonerating the guilty, but causing the negative effects of the parents' offenses to be experienced by their children and their grandchildren, even to the third and fourth generations. I want to explain this properly. Do you and I know, like I said, there's having a conversation. Do you and I not understand that since we've been in our exile, it appears that Yahweh is not Elohim. What do you mean? Oh, because there's other names that are being mentioned. There's other people that are being worshiped. He's not receiving praise and adoration alone. That's number one. Number two, while we're in an exile, is this showing to the nation that Yah's merciful? Yes or no? While you're here, when they're looking at you, does it seem like Yah's being merciful to you? Huh? When you're popping up on the news and when you're struggling and what does it look like? Are they seeing this mercy? Are they seeing this merciful one? Because he talked in context, he's saying that they are profaning my name where they're living. Does it appear that the Most High is compassionate to the nations? Do they see our Elohim Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh as being compassionate? Slow to anger. If Yahweh was slow to anger, then why are you in exile? If Yahweh is compassionate, then why are you in exile? If Yahweh is merciful, then why are you in exile? If Yah is so full of grace and truth, then why are you in exile? What happened to the 1,000 generations? If Yah is such a forgiving Elohim, then why, and he forgives offenses, then why are you still in exile? He not only forgives offenses, he forgives crimes and sins. What sins? Intentional idolatry? No. Mistakes. What the Most High is telling us is this. Because of your behavior and because of the way that you have decided that you want to go and be like the nations, they have not seen me. They haven't seen my kindnesses. They haven't seen my mercy. They haven't seen my compassion. They haven't seen my truth. They haven't seen it. They haven't seen that I forgive crimes and sins. They haven't. They created a character for them to believe that I forgive crimes and sins. That's the reason why they created him. Because they weren't willing to wait for me either. So guess what? Now they're going to get what they're going to get. Okay? So because of the way that we lived our lives and our ancestors, we really haven't had Yahweh as our Elohim to be this to us. And what I mean is to show the nations, because that's the goal. Because remember, Moshe had said, if you do this, then why would you give people occasion to speak against you? Why is the Most High concerned about saying that? Why are these people saying that the Yahweh's people have been exiled from his land? Why is he saying that I'm going to be set apart through them before their very eyes? Because the goal is for the whole world to know. There's a pattern. The reason why the Most High hasn't destroyed us is only because the nations would have known that, and that's what Moshe said. They would have known that Yah has done evil for us. That would go against his name. That would go against his character. Because we wanted to do what we wanted to do, then Yah doesn't appear to be merciful and gracious because we're still a people who have been put down. You don't see the loving kindness of the Most High. Not right now, not the nations. They don't see it. They see a people who have been exiled from Yahweh's land. That's the pattern. You see? So his intent is, he said, I'm not going to come and get them because of any good that they have done. So you let them know. It's not because of any good that you have done. It's not, I'm not going to do this for you. It's not for your sake. It's for the sake of my name. The Yod, the Hey, the Wad, the Hey. Because in the Yod, the way, the Yod, the Hey, the Wad, the Hey, there's all these different things that I said that I'm going to be to you that I have not been to you. When I come, I am going to be your Elohim. When I come, I'm going to show you my mercy and my compassion. When I come, then you'll see that I'm slow to anger against you. That's the reason why. It's not for your sake. When I come, you're going to see that I'm rich in grace and truth. When I come, I'm going to show the grace to the 1,000 generations. To who? Those who love me and keep my commandments. When I come, I'm going to forgive the offenses and the crimes and the sins of what? Of those who follow my commandments. Yet, I'm not going to exonerate the guilty when I do it, because I will show mercy to whom I show mercy and compassion to whomever I show compassion. But I'm going to cause the negative effects of the parents' offenses to be experienced by the children to the third and fourth generation, right? The children and their grandchildren, even to the third and fourth generations. That's what I'm going to do. So literally everybody, it's about his name. And the way that we've been profaning it has been by the way that we have lived our lives. We have never allowed him, listen, to be this to us. He didn't forgive the children of Israel. He said their time for punishment is coming because I'm not going to exonerate the guilty. Matter of fact, he didn't reveal his name to the children of Israel in the context in which he revealed it in the Torah portion. He revealed it to Moshe. He told Moshe, make sure that no one comes up with you, no man, no animal, nothing. I don't want nobody around. And when I pass by you, I'll proclaim my goodness. And he proclaimed his name to him. Then he said he's going to do something wonderful through Moshe. He said it's going to be awesome. And the very thing that he's doing through him is what he's doing today. Through the teachings of Moshe is why you and I are be able to call upon the name of Yahweh. Rivka, are you there? I guess she's not. Praise Yah.
I'm here.
Did you want to
You
do
ready?
your... Yeah, I am.
Let's give it a try.
Cool. Let me see something right here.
Disable the screen share for me.
Okay, I got you. Oh. Okay, so here it is. All right, I think you got it now.
Okay. I got it. Okay, it's everyone, if you have a smartphone or a tablet, if you go to the website Kahoot, it's KAHOOT.IT. We'll give you a moment to do that. And go to that website and put in the game pin, which is 4. There you go, Vika. The number is 442-9867. All right, Lucas, welcome. All right. Now, there you go. Dawid, are you going to sign in with us? Akika? Oh, you're not? That's not fair. You got to sign in too. Okay, but you know the answer, so no, you can't sign in. I don't think it, let's see how many we have. 5, yeah, we'll wait a little bit longer. Miss Pam, Shabbat Shalom. Vika. All right. Uh-oh, did we lose someone? Kavika, we lost. I think Kavika has to come back. No, there she is. Did we lose any? There you are. Zanya.
I like their little icons.
There
It's
you
cute.
go. The what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go ahead and get started in a moment. Anyone else? We have 8 people on. All right. Yared. 10. All right. 10 people. Okay. I think we had 10 people on class. Now we have 10 people on. And I think one more person is coming. If she would hurry up. Pick her avatar. Thank you. Let's go. All right, we're moving on. So you better join. Okay. All right, Ken is in. All right, here we go. Do I need to turn it up or anything?
No, just let them know.
All right. The name of this parasha is
And answer on your phone.
I extended the time for you guys this time too. Great. All right. Good job. Next one. Ken, Mal, okay. Next question. True or false? People of Israel are to contribute a shekel of silver to the a shekel of silver to the sanctuary. Shekel. True or false? Good. How much is it? Does anyone know?
No, don't
We'll
do
go
that.
over the answers later. I'm not gonna say that. I can't. We'll have Dawid go over it. Good. What were these 2 men placed in charge of what?